Hello everyone, welcome back to the DaniyalZi Show, episode 17, and today we're joined by the one and only Jarrod Goldsmith of eSAX. Jarrod, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really do appreciate it.
Hi Daniyal. Thanks very much for having me this afternoon.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Jarrod, I've known you for a few years, but I know that a lot of our viewers, they're around Canada. They're different entrepreneurs from all over coast to coast, and I think your story is really cool, and I think it's worth saying the context before we get to the content. So can you give us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, how you came up with eSAX, and what you were doing before that?
Sure, thank you very much. And it's great to address people outside of Ottawa, where I'm located. The entrepreneur journey is different for everybody. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always thought I'm going to get a government job, move to Ottawa, get a pension, retire, and have a great life. But in my case, my background, Daniyal, is as an archaeologist. I have a master's degree in archaeology or anthropology, and I played music, saxophone, for many, many years. I started the saxophone in high school. Have you ever played?
I played the trumpet in high school. It was a good time.
Very cool. Well, not many people go into music as a career because it's a really tough life. But I really excelled in it. When I was in university, I was studying with professors and playing in bands. And it was always my hobby, my pastime, my life outside of academics. But I wasn't too concerned where I was going to find a job. I kept thinking, great, I'll have a master's degree. I can kind of speak French. How hard can it be to get a government job? Moved to Ottawa back in 2002, and it was really difficult. It was contract to contract to contract. I would be on EI more times than people can imagine, but I kept up the music. So the roundabout way on how I started eSAX was I started a band first called Sax Appeal. It's the little logo here, an all saxophone band. Very unique, and most people have never heard of a band like this. And the organizers, the trainers I was talking to at the time, they said, Jarrod, you cool idea, okay, we get it, the whole saxophone thing, good, cool name, but you need to go network. You have to tell people what you're doing. Okay, I didn't know anything about networking. I didn't know anything about the whole concept of being an entrepreneur. I started going out into the community, and believe me, Daniyal, I went to every single networking event for years. If it was a 2-person event or a 200-person event, it was a networking event for me.
You were there
at the time. Might have been when I started. I was there. I was using Meetup mostly and connecting people. But I realized at the time, back in 2011, when I started the band, not many people are looking. Let me rephrase that. Nobody's looking for a band like this. But when they are hearing about somebody, let's say getting married, having a cocktail reception, they need music, they would give me a call. And what I was doing at the time was developing these long-term relationships with people in the hope of them spreading my name in the future. I'm not trying to sell them at the time. Back in 2012, people started knowing me as the networking guy who plays saxophone, or sometimes the saxophone guy who goes to a lot of networking events. And I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity. Let's get together the community, and really what I thought was the best way of networking is, like I said before, it's relationship building. I created events. Actually, this is a banner behind me, 2 of them, French and English side by side, and that's from one of our larger events. We had about 600 people there. And it was just a way to connect the entrepreneur community, share best practices, bring some great speakers. We had Brett Wilson from Dragon's Den as one of our speakers, Bruce Linton, on the day that cannabis got legal. It was a huge to-do. And launch of Ruckify. Anyways, all that to say is eSAX is a small business entrepreneur community to help people network and share resources and best practices.
So you came up with eSAX, and when did you first have your first event?
The first event for eSAX was, I think, early 2012, but we only had 15 or 20 people. And then 3 months later, we had maybe 20 people, and it started building up from there.
And now it's one of the premier Ottawa networking events, which is really cool because I used to go to almost every single one because you turned it into a whole thing because you branded it with your band, and it became like a whole thing that all entrepreneurs kind of had to go to. They were just like, this is our party. You have to be there because this is where we get the community all together. And I'm really happy to say that you were able to really accomplish that, because that is really hard to do, because entrepreneurs are one of those things where every single entrepreneur is almost doing something different. It's not an office party, right? Where you all have to come and you're all forced, but to a networking event and make it become some, and you have to keep doing new things to it too. And you did that pretty successfully. How difficult was that? Making it new every few months.
Well, those are some great points. Let me back up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, the whole concept for me of eSAX should be a more fun, party atmosphere. Actually, the letter S for eSAX stands for the word social. And I've always believed that the more you like, know, and trust somebody, the quicker it is for you to do business with them in the future. It doesn't matter if you're selling a widget, a pen, or a water bottle, or technology. You have to know and like the person first. And that's going to happen the more you get to know people. And that's one of the reasons I created eSAX. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cute name between Sax PLA, entrepreneur thinking fedora on, because I had not many things rhymed with X, so I had to get a little creative. But back to your point about, how do I keep it fresh and exciting? Daniyal, as you know, and probably many of your listeners who are entrepreneurs are aware, many of us are faced with the situation, right? We've been in business for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Things get stale. How do we keep it fresh and exciting? In my case, I was hosting these eSAX events every quarter. Every 3 months, I was doing a large conference. And I realized every 3 months, I had a great opportunity to retool, retweak a few things, change things up every 3 months. So the point was, every 3 months, it looked like a new event. I mean, the formatting, the branding was all there, but anywhere from changing the layout of the room to how we do things, to the speakers, to, do we offer swag bags? Do we give eSAX out to people? The branding, it's everywhere. I could go on and on. And I mean, really, it's a lesson in branding.
No, it is. And
that's why I say eSAX is, it's a lesson in branding.
I used to run events, so I know how convoluted, how tough it can get, especially getting everyone involved and then making sure everything has to go to plan. And your events, there was all these different things happening at the same time. You had the exhibitors, you had a whole award show going on in the back. It's just like, holy crap! Like, there's so many things going on. So I thought it was really cool. And I actually didn't know that you actually brought the event out because of the band, because I didn't know that it started all from there. So that's cool. That's kind of cool to know. That's how it started off.
I mean, it's really interesting because people say, oh, wow, I've heard of you over the years. Overnight success. It's incredible. And I think to myself, well, you probably heard it before. The overnight success takes many, many years. In my case, I'm still trying to get there. But a lot of people know about the brand. But yeah, you're right, Daniyal. It all started from my music career with my band.
Isn't that interesting?
Why it's called eSAX. Yeah.
Because
although some people they mix the two up, but I thought, that's okay.
No, it's so interesting because it's difficult getting career into music, but you kind of created a whole brand around it, which is so interesting to me, because I see so many people that are saying they're struggling with getting a career in music. They're struggling with getting out there or getting known, but they're not doing anything to see the possibilities that are within the scope of their career that can build out.
That's really important, because a lot of people are very talented. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're an artist, a musician, painter, potter, visual artist, doesn't matter. I'm talking specifically about the arts. But it's one thing to be good at what you do, right? To make a career out of it. But you have to wear your thinking cap on about the marketing side, the branding, how you're portrayed, the social media, and it's the messaging that goes out to it. Right. Like I said, I don't have a background. I never did in marketing, management, social media, branding, or entrepreneurship. Everything I learned was trial and error. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, is to help other people with resources. I know hopefully we'll have a chance to chat about my YouTube channel, but I have a whole section called Ask the Fedora. And you help people learn.
And you kind of, it's like a Q&A kind of show?
It's me sitting in front of a camera talking about a specific topic about networking in particular. And they're
That's
only
pretty
about a
cool.
minute or two long, so you could whip through a whole bunch of them. But it all started, I mean, I did everything wrong when I was first networking because I didn't know anything about what I was doing. And all that to say is doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're talented for reasons enough to pursue your hobby or passion, but you need to realize that you have to make things change all the time, but keep consistent to your messaging and your brand as an entrepreneur.
So that's kind of a networking tip you would give.
Yeah, I give a lot of workshops, but then years ago I started putting them onto video to help other people realize, not only in Ottawa, but anywhere in the world now. Like, we have over 600 videos on the YouTube channel. It's nuts
That's,
how much
that's
content we have.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I think content is key, and you got to build a lot of it these days because there's everyone else is doing it too. So you have to double down and make sure that all the information is out there. So you've been
and just talking about content, Daniyal, that's one of the reasons why I love what you're doing with your podcast. I know that you interviewed my friend Michael Wood from Ottawa Special Events, and that's getting a huge amount of attractions on LinkedIn. And so good on you for creating all this great content.
No, I think Michael. I kind of I looked at his story, and I did the podcast before in 2017. I wanted to do like a 15 episode podcast series just to test it out, and then I said I'd come back to it when the time is right. And then I saw Michael and his and I saw the other entrepreneurs as well working on doing all these amazing initiatives. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like these guys are doing such amazing work. I need to talk to them. I need to be able to give other people the context and of exactly how much work these guys are putting into making things better. And they're all doing it they're not charging anyone. They're just doing it just to deliver content and deliver something that all the entrepreneurs can benefit from. So I thought that was really quite cool. Actually, that leads me forward. Since the obviously the networking side of things has, well, at least the real meeting in person side of things has been affected by the coronavirus. How has eSAX been affected from COVID?
Right. Well, actually, I was affected in two ways. One, nobody's hiring live music. That was one of the first things to stop because nobody's having events. So the live music just shut down cold. Nothing in the works. The second thing is, I also host events, in-person events. Gone. Nothing's happening these days. When all this started with the coronavirus, I thought, okay, well, the natural pivot for me is to go virtual. And I thought, brilliant, this is exactly what I need to do. And it's not really that much out of people's comfort zones to have virtual meetings these days. And I thought, how can I do larger scale events, conferences, networking events, wedding shows, meetings, everything online. And I came across this really cool platform as a way to use that. And I've been using it ever since. I'm a huge advocate for it.
So you're starting to move your, well, at least for now, you're starting to move your events online. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What's the plan there? And can you give us kind of an outline of what's going on and what you expect to happen?
Right. I think a lot of people, let's say, they're looking for alternatives. Even Zoom meetings, they're having some issues. I heard there was class action lawsuits and security breach. Anyways, whatever. But the platform I'm using was already in development over a year ago. And it was originally, from my understanding, created to accommodate larger scale conferences. There's a stage area. You could talk to everybody at the platform at once where everyone else is muted, or you could break out into smaller tables or rooms. And this, what I really loved about it, because it mimics a real live networking event. Daniyal, you're at a cocktail reception or a coffee break at a conference. You're networking with only, two or three people at once in a little group. And then you turn around, there's another two or three people, four maybe, or one. This is what this platform does best. You break off into this little room, but you could see everyone else in all the other rooms. You could hover your mouse over there, drop down their little virtual business card, connect with them on LinkedIn. Just by a click of a button, it opens up a new LinkedIn window. You could send them private messages. You could share your screen with people. It's amazing. More information at eSAX.ca. And I'm giving lots of demos about the platform, and it's a game changer. And I think once more people realize it, that they're going to think Zoom is a dinosaur.
I love that. I love that you're doing it, because that was like, I personally found that to be the main issue with any Zoom-based networking event, because like obviously if there's 100 people on the screen, you're not going to be, there's going to be no conversation going. It's going to be more like a conference where there's one leader and you're just listening to them. And I was thinking, it would be so cool if there was a way to like break off and branch off into groups, because that's what networking really is. You get to your small groups and you huddle together, and you kind of you already know this. And so I'm happy you're doing that. So and to understand how it works correctly, it basically you're all together in the beginning, and then you kind of branch off into groups. Is that how it works?
It could work both ways. I mean, when you first log into the platform, it brings you to what I call the lobby, and you're randomly placed in a different table, right? And you can see everyone else there. You have their little avatars there, which you can upload a picture or a graphic. And when I say upload your virtual business card, your name, a link where you want to direct people to, connect your LinkedIn profile, and have an option to include a little bio. And then it's depending on what the host or the purpose of the event is, you could bring everybody into the presentation stage, invite X amount of people up on stage to address all the attendees, and break off into the smaller groups. Let's say you're having a mastermind. You could divide the rooms, 5 or 6 people per room. Here's the speaking point for table 1. Here's the speaking point for table 2. Designate a table rep. Invite them back on stage in the presentation mode. Done. Conferences. You could rename each of the tables. It's great for sponsors, silent auctions, conferences, networking events. It's the best thing I've seen, and I'm totally sold on it.
Cool. No, I think it's very exciting. Is there a date yet on when you might be holding an event, or is that information?
I'm doing them quite often.
Oh, yeah, you're already doing. You're already working. You're already. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I've been launching them for. It's been being used for several months now. eSAX.ca, and go to virtual, and you'll see all sorts of demos that I'm hosting to have other people realize the functionalities of it. And I'd be happy to chat more and maybe host your next meeting on this platform.
Oh wow, no, I'd be very interested. Let's definitely talk about that on LinkedIn. That's really cool, because I think that's a cool, very very interesting platform. And I think now is the time to try everything out. Like a lot of us are lucky enough to be able to stay home, while a lot of other good people are out there working for us. So I think it's a good time for the people like myself to be able to try out these interesting platforms. That's kind of why I'm doing Zoom. I never did Zoom before, right? I was all about the Skype life, and Skype sucked for me. So I'm
Skype life.
so I'm excited to know that this is going on.
Daniyal, this is the time now that people are realizing that they have to look outside the box and explore different alternatives and possibilities. There's never been a better time for people to go virtual or digital. We're all doing it. This is how we have to interact these days. And it really forced those who are on the cusp, to actually go in and do it. And this is an alternative. It's a solution. Like, I could host people's events using this platform. It's absolutely brilliant. I've been doing it.
That's right. No, it's really cool. I actually also wanted to I just reminded that I thought you would be a perfect person to ask this question, because how much of the entrepreneurial community that and how many people are also maybe asking you on what they should be doing. A lot of entrepreneurs are obviously affected right now. What kind of issues have you seen stemmed out of COVID-19 for entrepreneurs, and what have you been able to tell them?
Well, one thing I know, if they are eligible for CERB, right, the Canadian Emergency Benefit Assistance Program, I believe it's called, a lot of entrepreneurs are concerned that there's $1,000 cap. Right, entrepreneurs, we want to make money. We want to change the world and make things happen. But because of this cap, some of them are concerned, well, maybe I should only try to sell less than $1,000 this month, even though I might be able to sell $1,500. Oh, well, I'd rather get the government handout. Well, I'm concerned that it's going to have a reliance on the government and these free handouts. I know everybody's going to be audited down in the future. If you weren't eligible, you're going to have to pay it back with interest, probably. But I'm worried that it's stymieing some of the entrepreneurial, mind frames to get out there and change things, to make things happen. Yeah. And although the other option is, it's encouraging many other people to realize, what can they do as their side hustle? I know, the good guys over at Rectify, they're doing some amazing stuff. It's all about the side hustle. It's all about coming up with something. Yeah. I think most people have more than one income source. It could be your day job. If you're working the government, good on you. I hope you last a long time there. The other option is, you start a side hustle, a side business. And I have a whole bunch of videos talking about, the benefits of it. How do you do it? And can you do it? Like, what are the pros and cons? But now more than ever, I think people are realizing that they need to do something like that.
Yeah, no, I think the side hustles are so absolutely important, and getting the skill. Like I used to buy and sell phones and gaming consoles when I was younger, and just because, and I still use the skills that I acquired back in high school to this day because you get those people skills. You get to meet people. You know how to negotiate a deal. Like those kind of things, they kind of last forever, and I think that's important for everyone. Like someone negotiating a job, someone negotiating selling their car or their home. I think it's all super useful to be able to have those side hustles.
And that's a really good point.
Did you ever have a side hustle?
Oh, sorry. Besides music, I mean, I've been doing it professionally for 20, 30 years now, like a long time. I started, like I said, in high school, and by the end of high school, I was playing professionally. But I never counted that as a side hustle. It's just something I've always been passionate about and I love doing. And I made some coin on the side.
Yeah, why not? No, I love it.
Yeah. But you hit on some really important points there about, you have, if you're just going to take a side hustle and just for the sake of making some money, you're going to burn out probably. You're not going to really appreciate the value of it. No, for sure, you won't be able to. You're going to burn out, and you absolutely won't be able to appreciate it. So eSAX is your online platform, right? Well, I'm like a redistributor of this platform.
You're a redistributor of the platform.
So I don't work for the company.
No, I know. I'm
a raving fan, as they say, because I see the functionalities, I see how it works, and I want to have other people realize the value of it. And you're hosting events out of there, right? And I've also heard that I've also heard you've been doing a little bit of support work for supporting some charities. Can you talk a little bit about that as well? Because that's interesting, because we're not seeing we're seeing that a little bit from the other entrepreneurs, and I spoke to them about it, and I want to know what you're doing as well on that front. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a very important part of any business model to have a philanthropic part of your mission and your business plan. The eSAX events I hosted, we would raise funds for CHIO, Ability First Ottawa, and the Ottawa Network for Education, right? The Junior Achievement Program, and they're doing some great things. And then I started hosting these monthly events, and for every ticket sold, I donated $10 per ticket towards the Ottawa Network for Education. And then when it came time for the eSAX, we donate $1.50 for every pair split between those three organizations. And right now we have 2 businesses who are matching our donations. I'm trying to encourage other organizations and businesses and philanthropists to get on board to make more of an impact. Well, right now, we have Doug Bates and Rob Stewart of Robco Water. And in total now, because of their matching donations, $4.50 of every pair gets split between 3 different charities. And it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. I can only imagine if we get 2 or 3 more businesses on board, how much more of a impact we can make. Okay, no, we're going to link that down below in the comments for sure. A link to that. I think that's very, very helpful. It's something, especially for hospitals these days. I very much am a supporter of that. Everyone knows they need some help these days. Yeah. So Jarrod, how do you feel about the whole response by the government for entrepreneurs during coronavirus? Are you happy with it? Are you not? Where are your questions and where are your approvals? Well, I know everybody got gobsmacked, right, with the whole situation, the government in particular, because everybody was looking at them for answers or some guidance and feedback. And they should be applauded. I think the government officials have done an excellent job on trying to accommodate millions of people going on EI or the CERB benefits at the same time. It's never been seen before. I mean, I guess the closest to this was during the war or even the Great Depression back in the 1929. I think that everybody should just take a deep breath and realize that they're looking out for the best interests of Canadians. They want businesses to succeed and continue. I think it's very short-sighted for the government to turn around and say, you know what, it has to be done this way or you're going to go out of business. We don't care. No. I mean, no right-minded politician would say something like this. And I think that the entrepreneurs and us who have to think, you know what, more people are realizing the need to think like an entrepreneur, especially now. And I think that those who are entrepreneurs who've been in business for a long time are realizing, hey, you know, hey, I've been dealing with this my whole life. This is what I'm used to. For instance, you know, in my case, I'm used to not having a regular paycheck coming in, right? Like I said before, when I was out of government, I'd go on EI, then I'd get a paycheck, and then go on EI. And now as an entrepreneur, my pay was always like this anyways. I could never take it for granted. I've been working from home since 2012. This is nothing new for me. A lot of us, it's not affecting much. Okay, yes, I'm not getting gigs. I'm not getting much money coming in. So CERB is absolutely helping. I think it's a benefit. They're doing a good job. And it's only going to get better because every a couple of days they're tweaking a few things here and there. And I think we can't keep relying on the government. We have to start using more of our entrepreneurial mindset to continue building and tweaking things like you said before. You know, keep it fresh and exciting. And now's a great opportunity to do that. Right now I'm going virtual. Great. It's not such a stretch, but it's different for many people. You know, we're still selling the socks online. That hasn't changed. And it's just, you know, I'm revamping the band slightly. There's something else I did talk about is instead of just Sax Appeal, the band, I'm renaming it Sax Appeal Productions. I've been booking live music for years. Other bands, people don't know that. So once we start getting back into booking regular entertainment, at least in my case, they'll give me a call. Like, sure, you need a dance band, a big band, a funk band, a string quartet, whatever you need. I have the contacts for. Like you said before, networking is all about relationships and contacts.
I like it. So you'll be able to coordinate basically for any need that someone has for their event or their whatever they have. That's cool. So I want to ask. So you're making plans, and it's amazing that you're. When do you feel like it's going to be more back to the pre-COVID days? Do you think we're getting there now that today is the first part of the phase one beginning, or do you think?
I think it's going to take a while.
You think it'll take a while?
It's not going to happen overnight. I think that events probably won't start happening, like larger scale events. At least I've been speaking to a lot of event planners and some politicians, and Mike Wood's very tapped into, you know, the situation at the government level. Probably till 2021, I would say, and even like this large scale signature events, probably even later. Yeah, I don't plan on hosting person-to-person, face-to-face events anytime soon, even though I'd love to. And I think a lot of us are missing the human connectivity part of it. Yeah, and that's why, you know, the face-to-face is so important.
No, it's so important, especially for. It's going to take a while.
I don't know if we're going to get back to normal. I mean, you know, people have been saying it's the new normal. I think once we start going back to events, there's going to be a segment of the population who are comfortable doing the virtual setting. And I think you're going to start seeing that, let's say there's a large, let's say a gala, a fundraiser gala, let's say for CHIO. There might be 400 people in the attendance, but they're going to have somebody doing social with a virtual camera in the audience for those who are still using virtual events. And I think that
yeah, no, I think it'll. You're absolutely right. It will take a while before we get back to normal. I do hope that a lot of the restaurants, like the storefronts, like restaurants, they do get the opportunity to open up soon, even social distance. Have you been able to speak to your friends that own restaurants and how they are doing these days?
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, they're barely struggling. Some of them aren't, because even though if people using Skip the Dishes or, you know, some of the other takeout places, they charge a lot of money for the restaurant. The consumer doesn't see it, but behind the scenes, I heard that they might only be making 10 or 15% of your order, and the rest has to go towards overhead and the cost of delivery. People don't see this. Are they making ends meet? Time will tell. I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's what everybody's concerned of.
it's
Yeah.
tough, and I think it puts like the government in a really tough spot on where the balance lies. I think it's it's a really nice test for if and when something even worse hits. That's more similar to the Spanish flu. I think this is my opinion, but I think this one was obviously no good coronavirus. It was terrible. But I think it could have been so much worse when we look at history. And I'm glad the government did the response they did, because now we know what to do. It's and how do you feel about that? Do you feel like the government is more prepared?
I mean, it's terrible about people who've already passed away or are quite ill. I mean, like they say, everything could be worse. There could be a death rate of 20%, and you can imagine what would happen at that. Oof, I don't really want to think about it.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely insane. But no, I think so far no one that I know has been drastically affected, and the people that I know that got it, they were mostly asymptomatic. So it's interesting. Have you had people in your circle get the virus, and how has their experiences been?
Yeah, actually, my great aunt caught it. She was visiting my family in Montreal back, I think, in December, January. She went back to Denver, Colorado, and got very violently ill. But they did diagnosed it at the time. She went to get tested like about a month or two ago, and yep, she had that was what it was, but they didn't know. She recovered fully, thank goodness. But it's a really scary thing, and you just never know. And that's why the whole social distancing. People are making fun of it, but that's how we have to deal with it. Making light of the situation. It's hard though, because people have died. How do you manage this? Our businesses, I speak to entrepreneurs all the time, and Daniyal, they're like, well, do I go and continue my marketing online in light of all this stuff? Do I even bring up the whole COVID situation? Is it just a buzzword now? Like, you can't diminish the severity of the situation. Every economy in the world has stopped pretty much. And
100%. It's
going back.
I feel like the economy. I've never seen anything like it, because it was like a controlled disaster, right? It was like controlled chaos economically, and it was just so interesting and weird to see.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's seen anything like this before, and then we're all faced with it at the same time. And anywhere from a grandma who's retiring and getting her pension, which was wiped out, to the kid who's going to university next year, but there might only be virtual classes. Is she expected to keep paying the full tuition? Like, everybody has questions, and every organization is dealing it differently. Hopefully, with the best up-to-date knowledge with the Ottawa or whatever public health agency in your section. I mean, I ran a strong campaign to be a city councillor back in 2017. Didn't win, but it taught me a lot of valuable lessons about the value of organized government and how it could benefit the population. So yeah, a lot of people are poo-pooing the feds for these days, but the other end of the stick is they could have just turned around and said, you're entrepreneurs, you deal with it. Well,
yeah,
I don't know what would happen if they did that. I'm glad they didn't.
No, it's the response has to happen, and I do think that those people, although I have empathy for why they may be feeling that way, I don't think a lot of them have considered what would have happened if we went the other way. And I think we're seeing that in some of the U.S. states on what happened when you're going the other way, and you see that there's massive rises of COVID-19 in the certain population sectors where people decide to go out and protest, for example, that you're taking away my civil liberties. And I think that's also interesting to see, because that's the other side. There's still chaos on both sides. So I think this was.
But here's something else. Something else you might not have thought of, Daniyal, is a lot of the entrepreneurs, let's say, who are opening up a storefront, a small business, 2 or 3 staff, whatever. Let's say you sell, I don't know, cupcakes. You put your heart and soul into it. You mortgage your house, right, to get the collateral. Business is closed. You can't do anything. Is the bank going to take your house now because it's out of your control? That's the situation a lot of entrepreneurs are facing.
100%.
And that's one of the reasons why Mike Wood is out there canvassing on behalf of the small business community. Like, you know what? You have to put something in place because it's not our fault. It's an act of God or whatever it's called.
Whatever you call it.
And I mean, to have your livelihood, your house, your car, everything taken away, and what would that do to the economy? I can't even imagine. Well,
so I know that some people only, actually one of the friends that I know, he opened his restaurant maybe 2 weeks before the actual crisis started. And it's just like everything was there, his branding, his marketing, everything was on point. And you just can't expect these things to happen. And the person, they just have no business ever. They literally just had no business ever, and everything was on point. So that's one side of it. But also there was another restaurant in Ottawa. I'm not sure if they were brand new, but they're called Farinella. They're this pizza spot in downtown, and I'm pretty sure they were new, and they came out only a few months before the virus. And they went the other way. They started promoting themselves on Instagram hard, and they started making these meter-long pizzas. And now every time you go there on the weekends, there's literally lines of cars waiting to get it. So wow. I think it's also like a testament to the, like you were saying, like those really motivated and inspiration, like those motivated real entrepreneurs. They figure out ways and they pivot. And they see what they have to do. They do what they have to do in order to get business. Obviously not possible for every single person, but I thought it was really cool to see them do that.
I think we're going to see a lot of really good, heartfelt news stories coming out in the next, year or two about how the entrepreneurs changed their structure, their mind frame, and reinvented, not only themselves, but in some cases their industry. And I think we're going to look back at this time as one of uncertainty, but resilience as well. I mean, entrepreneurs, we have no choice. We're not just going to throw in our fedoras and call it a day. We have to make it work.
So what advice would you have to your eSAX entrepreneurial community and our audience here? And because most of them are entrepreneurs, and a lot of them have figured out ways, but I know that you can provide a lot of good advice to these individuals, because you met all of them. You've met every single type of entrepreneur that can exist. So what would you tell them, the ones that are struggling?
Right. Well, it's very kind of you. I mean, I haven't met everybody in Ottawa, but I'm getting there.
I think you're getting there.
It's really important to always consider the long-term possibility. When you're starting up your business, you'd say you're getting ready to open. You're so focused on the day-to-day to make it happen. But think, where are you going to be in 6 months from now, or a year, or 2 years, right? Have your plan in place. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they always have this long-term planning. Like I sure did. I still do. Where do I want to be in a year from now? I want X, Y, Z. Write it out. And I think even though your business might not be, operating 100% these days, now is a great time to go behind the scenes and work on some of the concepts, the business planning, the modeling, your branding, getting your banners made, everything behind the scenes, your taxes, your bookkeeping, the stuff that, nobody sees, programming social media posts so that they may come out in a week or 3 from now. All these things behind the scene will help you become a better business owner in the future. And it could be 6 months. And that's a good point. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Are we going to go back to normal in 6 months? Don't know. But if you start planning where you want your business to be in 6 months, what do you have to do now to get there? And I think it'll keep you busy. It'll keep you focused. And you have to realize why you're in business in the first place. It's because you have a passion, an enthusiasm. You love what you do. You want to help the community. You want to, make a couple of extra bucks, but you want to stay in business. Never lose that enthusiasm and passion you have. because I've been saying it for years, like this is what people come away with. They want to work with you because you're absolutely, you love what you do. And it's easy for that to come across. And you want to have this, this perseverance, you know, this enthusiasm spread in the community. That's what I do. That's why I'm still around after all these years. But always think in the future where you want to be and what do you need to do to get there.
So think of the steps ahead and prepare for them, and do a lot of that background work that no one sees, so that you have smoother business operations. So
Especially these days. I mean, you could sit in front of Netflix for 5 hours a day and watch the world go by and complain on Facebook, oh, my poor cat doesn't have any friends to play with, whatever. Or you can make stuff happen. Okay, you know, spend an hour a day cleaning your garage, fine. But spend the next 6 hours working on your business. Work on your videos. Do your podcast like you're doing.
Man, I totally I resonate with that so much, because people are saying they don't have time, they have to do all this. It's like, no, you do have time. Time is one of those things where where there are very few people in the world that don't have 2 hours a day where they do absolutely nothing and just sit at home, kind of lounge.
I worked it out a couple of weeks ago. Daniyal, a couple of weeks ago, I sat down and I wrote out, you know, how many hours am I saving a week by not going to events, not stuck in traffic, not, you know, going to the other end of the city. I mean, in my case, I'm out in Orleans, in Ottawa, and if I have an event, let's say at Brook Street Hotel in Canada, I leave like 2 hours early to avoid the rush hour that starts at about 3 o'clock. I'm in Canada crazy early. I mean, I'm saving probably about 6 hours a week by not in my car going to and from or waiting in between meetings. So I just freed up 6 free hours. You know, what do you do with it? You shouldn't be sitting on your couch surfing. You got to be productive.
No, isn't that incredible? Because I think people working from home has showed them how much time they're actually wasting.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. You know, there's a lot of distractions working from home. Your kids, you know, the phone's ringing, the internet's always available in front of your face, Netflix, you're, you know, calling up people, all these distractions, cleaning, cooking, baking. But for many people who are not used to working from home, it takes some time getting used to, right? Hopefully they're able to. I mean, there's a lot of great videos out there of all the distractions of people getting ready to start working. And by the end of the day, they got maybe 10 minutes of work done because there's, you know, everything's distracting them. But for those of us who are already used to working from home, business as usual. I mean, modified, but still keep working on things.
Yeah, no, I think the entrepreneurs, this is my opinion, and it doesn't include every entrepreneur because some have uncontrollable situations, but I think for most entrepreneurs, the ones that survive this, I think those are the ones that are going to really be coming out with the most innovative and cool ideas out of this. Because what did we see after 2008 recession? We saw the most resilient and most innovative businesses surviving and even thriving, like Shopify and Amazon did more business during the 2008 recession than any other retailer. And I think the part of that is just because these businesses that are innovative, that pivot, that can take new ideas, they reap the rewards of these kind of catastrophes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And that's why I think every business needs to reinvent itself in some way. If it's going virtual, great. Give me a call. I'm happy to help you out with that. But it's you know, working on your social media, it's doing the things behind the scenes like you know, we've already talked about. But people have to have that entrepreneur mind frame. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, you're probably thinking like one now, which is really interesting. I think there's going to be a bit of a pivot for,
yes.
You know, like we talked about the side hustle.
No, I agree. I think now that people have a little bit of time at home, the ones that are, I think the ones that are going to utilize their time correctly are going to be out there looking on eBay, looking on Amazon, and seeing what stuff they can flip, or they can what other thing they're good at that they never thought they could monetize. So I think that's going to be cool. I think that's going to be interesting to see all the new cool businesses that are going to come out of this. I'm really very excited about that. So Jarrod,
And what's the next step for you, Daniyal, in your business?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh yeah, where do you see yourself in 6 months from now, if I may ask?
So honestly, my business has literally been business as usual. So my team, they're in Canada, but they work remotely anyways. All my web designers, all my graphic designers, I get them all to work at home. I always have, because I think it's a waste of time for them to come to an office in the marketing industry. I think it's all online, digital marketing. Um, so actually, my business has been growing as a result of the virus, because there have been more and more retail businesses and storefronts that have realized they need to be online. So I've been able. So what I did, the first thing I did was, I was like, interesting. I'm going to make a Facebook ad and target it to small businesses from our company and tell them that I can make them a Shopify website. We didn't do Shopify before. We did more like WordPress and more just digital Facebook marketing. So I thought, okay, let's do a flat fee Shopify website for every business that needs it. And we got an overwhelming response, because we did it. I made the ad right in the beginning of the crisis, and when people were like, holy shit. And then I put the ad out, and we got an overwhelming response from all these businesses that were like, I need an online website like right now, because their business had to suddenly shut down. So they needed that service right away. 6 months from now, I can see a lot of those businesses that got those websites staying on board for those marketing plans. So I think it's going to be good for the digital marketing industry. I think the digital marketing industry as a whole will grow out of this quite a bit. And my own business, I think I'll be. I don't doubt how lucky I am as well. I think I was very lucky. It's hard work and luck. So I think.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs.
Happy.
That's really good to hear, Daniyal. There's always an element of luck in any business. It could be timing,
sure.
Right? Timing is everything. It could be, working with the right people, choosing the wrong people, having a storefront or not. And I think you were very wise when you decided that years ago to go remote anyways. I mean, it makes sense if you're dealing with people's expertise around the world.
Yes. And it's because people, like in general, people in the marketing industry, the ones that I've hired, they're the ones who are the most comfortable working at home, because they're on their phone 15 hours a day anyways. Like me, I don't mind being on my phone, right? And I don't mind other people being on their phone, because that's just a part of our lively life right now. And I think that helps a lot, especially in these situations, because when you become a connoisseur of using a smartphone and being able to post on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter with it effectively at home without any stresses, I think that's what allows my business to give a good service. And I think in the marketing industry as a whole, I think a lot of marketing industries have the same mindset. And I think it's personally, Absolutely. In my opinion, I think it's the right way to go, especially moving forward. I think more businesses should adopt this mindset.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we're going to be seeing more of that in the next, I don't know how many months, or maybe the next year or two.
Yeah, no, 100%. But
something else to think of, Daniyal, is, real estate developers and those who own properties, they're also entrepreneurs, right? They're getting a bad rap. Sure. I mean, as let's say you own a mall, and then you have all your tenants who can't pay rent. Are you planning to evict them, where you have no rent possibly coming in for a year or 3? Or do you give them a deal on their rent now that they'll still be a tenant in 6 months from now? Ugh.
It's tough. Yeah. It's tough when you're a landlord these days, especially for a mall. Oh man, I can't even imagine what. But at the same time, like you've like these kind of issues happen, and you've got to be able to work with your tenants, because it's affecting everyone. Like either you work with your tenants or you work with the government in getting better legislation. I think those are one of the two options, because evicting them, I mean, obviously evicting them won't do anything good, because you can't replace them with anyone either. It'd be a bad business.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that I hope your listeners come away with today, Daniyal, is that collaboration is key. And especially now more than ever, if you're a landlord or you sell widgets, or you want to continue working with your stakeholders, your partners, your clients, find ways, innovative ways to make things work. Let's say they can't pay their full invoice, maybe make it installments once a week or a month, whatever works for you and your clients or your stakeholders. Find ways. Don't just have a white and black answer.
Awesome.
There's always opportunities.
No, I think that's a good way to end today as well. We're running out of time, but Jarrod, thank you so much for being on today. I'm going to put all your links down below, but if you want, we have an audio podcast coming out as well. Can you give us a little bit of some links that our viewers can follow you on?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We're pretty easy to find. If you Google eSAX with an A, just in case, you'll probably find hundreds of videos on YouTube. It's eSAX Networking. Easy to find. I mean, I encourage your subscribers to help and subscribe to our channel. There's like I said, I love collaborating, cross-promoting, talking about entrepreneurship, networking skills, branding, marketing, all that stuff. Our podcast is eSAX Networking. Everything can be found at esax.ca. Awesome,
Jarrod. Thank you so much. Let's talk soon, and we'll see you later. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thanks so much, Daniyal. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.